Hi, Jurnee. I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you today. Thanks a lot for taking the time. I mean, Dennis Lehane clearly has an aptitude for writing both for the page and for the screen, these really twisty, turny, edge of your seat thrillers, always with these fascinating, morally ambiguous characters. And I love also, though, this setting of this world of arson, this world of fire. What did you first think when you read the script?
I read it like a fan. It was a page turner for me. I needed to know what happened next, you know. I'm a fan of his books. I'm a fan of his screen work. Blackbird was phenomenal. The project he did with Taron a few years ago. And Detective Michelle Calderon is so rich and complex and morally ambiguous. And for an actor like myself, those are the kind of roles that are just a dream because you're constantly playing with different colors and different layers. And she has this mask up and she's lying to herself about a lot of things and she has secrets and presents herself to be one way and she's not, always that way. And who in the world is, like that's the truth. We all are multiple things. No one's one thing, all good or all bad. So it was a dream project, dream character for me to be a part of.
And, did you kind of have to think about, her emotional backstory? What was your way into the character? Because, yeah, maybe at first you sort of think she's going to be our heroine, but, even her idea of justice is, do the ends always justify the means? So it really raises all these really interesting questions, seeing how she behaves through the series.
Yes, thank you for that observation. My process is always, seeped in research, seeped in building out her backstory, which was already pretty rich in what Dennis had written. And he and I together just kind of, built it and built it and built it. And so, yeah, you can, when you have that solid foundation of a backstory, you can build upon it, and you've got a solid foundation. But you're absolutely right. She is morally ambiguous and has justice as her North Star and falls short time after time. But that's the truth. I mean, I don't know that you're going to necessarily meet a perfect law enforcement agent. We all are human beings. We all have flaws. And yes, sometimes her choices, it wasn't my job to judge. It was my job to justify it, though.
And there's really a fascinating tension and relationship and dynamic between Michelle and Dave. What was it like working with Taron on that dynamic together, and working opposite him?
We discovered so many fresh colors in their dynamic, in the scene, just behaving, It was very much so like composing a symphony with him, or maybe it was a jazz sonata. I don't know. It probably was jazz because it felt a little improv in moments, where it's one moment it's a color of a brother and sister dynamic, then another moment, I'm trying to get in his head by not allowing him to get in my head. And then another moment, I'm feeding into his ego. Teach me, professor, your wonderful ways of investigating arson, And so this dance that he and I found ourselves in, it was a thrill to play in the sandbox with him.
Sometimes it sounds like a cliche to say this, but I feel like fire is a character in the show. Both its sort of, it's horror, but also its beauty. What was it like shooting some of these scenes? Was it quite intense on set?
It was very intense in moments because fire itself is a very dangerous element, a very beautiful element, a very hypnotic element. And it is, like you said, a character in the show. It's actually not a cliche to say that. The metaphor of fire, though, is really about this force in all of us that we all struggle with, in which we are drawn to the things that are going to destroy us, whether that's a toxic relationship or an unhealthy amount of ambition in your workplace or trauma in your childhood, whatever that is, that dance that we do with fire. We might know the straight and narrow path to walk down, and yet why do we take so many detours, So I think there's a motif in there within the fire.
And can you tell us what you're going to be working on next? How do you choose your roles? I mean, this one must have just been a bit of a gift, you know, to have sort of a female character as well, maybe in a really male dominated world. Did that feel like something quite fresh to bring to screen?
You know, I have to be honest, I'm often cast in these male-dominated workplaces in my projects. The Burial, I was the lawyer in this male-dominated field. You know, I don't know. I think it's true of society that we as women oftentimes find ourselves, you know, working in male-dominated spaces. You know, this was a dream project and yes, it was a gift. And how do I pick my projects? I'm in this space where I want to simply focus on my growth, simply focus on working with storytellers who push me, who write characters that challenge me, and I want to work with collaborators and actors that get me going, and we can pass the ball back and forth like a tennis match, you know. So that's the space I'm in right now.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on the show. Can't wait for everyone else to see Smoke. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your support.